know weddings are not something I normally talk about on my nutrition channel, but that's what we're doing today. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melissa. I'm a registered dietitian, and here on my channel we talk about all things food and nutrition normally. Today we're talking about wedding planning. To be honest, I was just feeling very uninspired to film a nutrition video today. I just couldn't think of anything I wanted to talk about, and I just wasn't in the mood. But I did go for my wedding makeup trial. What do we think? It's very bright, so I'm a little like blown out. So yeah, I was just kind of thinking of wedding planning, and I thought maybe I would do a little wedding planning video. I feel like if you're planning a wedding, you could use all the help you can get. I know that's how I feel. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good in the wedding department. For the most part, it's been a pretty stress-free experience for me. So I just thought I would share some of the things that I am doing in order to keep everything stress-free. So when we got engaged, I was pretty much immediately stressed. Like, just the thought of planning a wedding stressed me out because I feel like I had heard constantly how stressful it was. The thought of everyone looking at me and having to walk down an aisle and all this attention and dress shopping and all that stuff stressed me out. And I really, I hadn't really been to any weddings that really felt like me or like us, me and my fiance. And so I just felt like I was gonna have to have this wedding that just kind of felt like a facade and not what I really wanted and not like me. I know that sounds really dramatic, but that's how I was feeling, and it was stressing me out and making me very anxious. And after we found our venue and I found that I could actually find something I liked and that I knew I would feel comfortable with, it really got a lot less stressful. And from then I was determined for this to not be a stressful experience. I was determined to not let everything pile up and not, be so stressed out and, cry and like having a nervous breakdown the week before the wedding and things like that. So I feel like me and my fiance both have been doing really good with this. So I just wanted to share a few things with you guys because I feel like a lot of people do find themselves very stressed when they're wedding planning. So first thing is first. My first tip to you would be start early. So like I was saying with the venue, I just felt like I wasn't going to be able to find something that felt like me. And I actually did find a place that I loved. I really wanted to get married in the woods, and I found this place that I loved, and we called and they were fully booked for the entire next year. And I was really sad, and I really felt like that was the only place that was going to work for me. And from there, I kind of realized we really need to get on this. So we got engaged in July of last year, and we chose our venue probably in September of that year because I realized these things book fast. And if you aren't like me and don't have those like weird anxieties about like feeling comfortable in the space and stuff like that, then maybe this isn't as big of a deal to you. But if you are like me, then I would definitely recommend, even if you are not fully ready to like start going into full-blown planning mode, you're not ready to buy dresses and catering and all this stuff, at least get your venue and your date set. Like I said, these places book up really fast. And if you have, a fall wedding in mind and you find your perfect venue, but you waited a little too long and now it's totally booked, you have to wait a whole nother year to do that. So starting early and at least getting that venue and date set, even if you are not ready to do anything else, that to me was a huge weight off of my shoulders. And after we found that venue that I loved and that I knew felt like me and felt like us as a couple, there was such a huge weight lifted off of my shoulders. So yeah, that is something I would really recommend. Tip number 2 kind of goes along with that, and that is get all the big stuff out of the way. So like I said, we found our venue and we did do that quickly just because of the experience of finding that other one we loved and it being totally booked. So we found our venue and we waited probably a month maybe after that before we started looking at the big stuff. So catering, photographer, DJ, I would say those are the three main things that I would suggest, you know, worrying about first. And for us, none of those things were really a hard decision. We knew a photographer that we loved. Again, I'm really glad we got to her early because we got her last available weekend in October 2019. We had seen a DJ that we really liked at multiple other weddings. And we had heard a lot about this one caterer and we gave them a try and liked them. So those choices were pretty easy, but we got all of those things set probably by before Thanksgiving of 2018. And after we set those things, we didn't do anything for the wedding until probably April of this year because we knew we had those really important 3 things set. And also those are going to be besides venue, those are the 3 most expensive things. So getting those larger expensive things out of the way can make it really easy to kind of stick with your budget and figure all the, you know, money side of things out. And again, in terms of places and people booking up, those are the things that are super important that you need, that are worth, you know, spending the money on. So getting those big things out of the way not only allowed us to relax a lot, it allowed us to know that we had these good vendors booked and set. It allowed us to know kind of with certainty what our budget was going to be. And overall, it allowed us to just be relaxed about everything because after you get those things, everything else can kind of fall into place and is smaller details that you can really wait on and you don't need to know right away. My next tip was something that was kind of hard for me to figure out, and that is know what you want and know what you are willing to, for lack of a better word, fight for. And for me, that meant more of a like feeling, how I want my wedding to feel. I was never one of those people who really like planned her wedding since I was a little girl or anything like that, but I knew I wanted my wedding to feel laid back. I wanted it to feel comfortable. I wanted it to kind of just feel like we were all just hanging out and we happened to get married while we're there. And I had to really stick with that because, you know, coming from an Italian family from New York, I think my parents had a very different idea of what they wanted my wedding to look like. They were used to, you know, a wedding in a church, a wedding that is more formal, larger. And I knew that that wasn't me and that wasn't what I or my fiance wanted. So having that solid foundation of what I knew I wanted and I wanted my wedding to feel like allowed me to not only find the right vendors that worked for us, but also kind of know what was worth getting in a fight about, causing a ruckus about. You know, there's gonna be things that you want that your family doesn't. There's gonna be things that your family wants and that you don't. And I think at the beginning, I was very set on everything, and going through this process I've learned that some things just are not worth getting in a fight about. And if you can, you know, picture that thing and still know that the core of your wedding is what you want it to be, then it's not worth getting in a fight over. And, you know, kind of considering that and knowing that has made this, you know, later half of wedding planning a lot less stressful. My next tip, tip number 4, is make lots of lists. So both me and my fiance are list makers. He is a spreadsheet maker. He made a spreadsheet as soon as we got engaged with like guest list, venue options, prices, all sorts of stuff. And let me tell you, having that organization has made a world of difference. In the beginning, you know, starting with being organized with like the guest list and all that sort of stuff, having the spreadsheet to compare different venues in terms of price and all sorts of things like that. But I have found we've been making more lists as we get closer to the wedding. So like I said, we kind of found those big vendors, you know, like November of last year, and then we really didn't do anything until like March or April of this year, where we like sent out save the dates and things like that. Again, still not doing that much, but once we hit that 3-month mark, we were like, okay, time to start figuring this stuff out. We felt like we were close enough that we could figure out those little details that can't necessarily be figured out until you get closer. So what we did at the 3-month mark, I made a huge list of everything that still needed to be done. So everything from meetings with people to what we're going to eat while we're getting ready, to dress fittings, makeup trial, hair trial, what we need to ask our wedding planner about, what we need to order, all sorts of things. So it's a pretty big list, but getting all of that out in front of me, written down, felt so good. And then Sam organized it into sections like he does, and being able to just see that in front of us was such a stress relief. And then every week since then, we have been making a weekly to-do list. So we've been getting something done for the wedding every week, and that doesn't have to be big things. Like, it could just be like, I think this week it was like makeup trial, finalize our my bridesmaid gifts, do some honeymoon planning, and set up a meeting with the DJ. So every week it's not like we're doing huge things, but making sure we get those little things done in between the bigger things has been so helpful. And at this point I feel so prepared, as we're really getting everything done and we're just checking stuff off left and right. And it feels so good to be organized, to know all the things we need to do, and to be able to get something done every week. And my final tip for staying stress-free is asking for help. And this is one that I also struggle with a little bit, just because I feel like sometimes it's easier to just do it myself than to tell someone else how to do it or ask someone else to do it. But it is important to not take all the responsibility for yourself. And when I say ask for help, it can mean a couple different things. The part that's harder for me is delegating things to different people. I feel like I'm glowing in this light right now. But yeah, so the thing that's harder for me is delegating to different people. So like telling my mom that she needs to order the sparklers, or my mother-in-law letting her handle all of the rehearsal dinner stuff. Like that, I honestly have like totally put out of my mind, because we just delegated that to her and she's just doing it. So delegating those smaller tasks out to people that you can is important, but also asking your vendors for help too. I mean, these people, it's their job. They've been to way more weddings than you ever have, and they've seen the whole thing through way more times than you ever have. So asking for that help can be incredibly helpful. I've emailed my photographer several times just asking about timing stuff, because we didn't really know what time we wanted to have the ceremony, and it just took a simple email to my photographer asking about lighting for her to, you know, tell us what works best. Instead of, you know, figuring out these timelines by myself, I can ask my photographer what time she needs me ready for a first look, so that the makeup artist and hairstylist can work together to make a schedule for that. So know that these people are here to help you. They know so much more than you do, and something that might feel like a stressful or complicated question to you might actually be a super simple answer from them that it is no trouble at all for them to help you with. So utilizing those people, also utilizing friends that have gotten married before, asking them, you know, what they might have done differently, or you know, if certain things stressed them out, that can be really helpful too. And, you know, learn from other people's mistakes or other things that other people loved during their wedding that you might have not even thought about. Okay, so I hope this wasn't too rambly. I know this was really different for my channel, but I hope you enjoyed it either way, and that if you are getting married, that you maybe learned something, or this helped to relieve your stress a little bit. Congratulations if you are getting married. If you have any wedding planning tips, then please leave them down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Let me know what kind of nutrition content you guys want to see. Like I said, I'm feeling slightly uninspired right now, so please let me know your requests. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye.